Do you ever feel like you're stuck in a job and it's time for a sea change, but you can't see the next step? I've been in that place so many times where you know it's time for a reset, but you just don't know what comes next. My daughter, who's 16 years old, said to me the other day, "Oh, Dad, I don't know what career I want to have." And I just laughed because I thought, I'm in my mid-40s and I'm still not sure what my career is meant to be. I've had so many career transitions over the years with strange twists and turns. I've been a physiotherapist, a healthcare manager, a project manager, a church minister, a marriage celebrant, an author, a strengths coach, and now a productivity consultant who kind of does a YouTube thing. I haven't had a traditional career pathway, nor is it a path that I ever expected to follow. But I get it, transitions can be hard. It can be hard to reset the direction of your career and your life when there's risks and unknowns. And every time I've found it painful and unnerving and confusing. And I think this is part of the deal. I mean, here's what I find fascinating and encouraging, that when I'm in the middle of a reset and all I can see is fog, that when I'm confused about the very things that I'm meant to do next, that's exactly a lot of the time where I'm meant to be. And at the time, each career change has felt random and disjointed. But in retrospect, with the benefit of hindsight, I can see logic in the journey. So if this resonates with you and if you can't see the next step, then give me a thumbs up so I know it connects. Career researcher Daniel Sih shares helpful insights into how we transition through various careers. In his book, The Life of Johnny Bunko, Sih argues that most of us will have multiple careers and that the trajectory of most of our careers is non-linear. That means that rather than going from A to B to C, most careers go from A to B to chocolate cake to one-ton noodle soup to my cousin's old lost sock to C. I mean, it's random, at least looking in on the outside. The secret to success, according to Daniel Sih, is to do your best in every life stage, giving your all to your current responsibilities in line with your values and skill, and trusting that when you perform exceptionally with the right attitude wherever you are, well then new opportunities will eventually present. This idea used to make me feel uncomfortable, that we can't plan and predict our career trajectory. But now, I actually find comfort in the randomness because I know that there is a path and a plan for my life. Someone once suggested that life is like a tapestry, where on the one hand you see this beautiful artwork that has order and makes sense, and on the other side you have a random bunch of colours and threads that look discontinuous and have no pattern. I like this idea, that there's a plan and a purpose forming and a greater someone who sees the whole, even when you feel confused and perplexed about what comes next. The way to successfully navigate a career reset is to wait in the fog, to be present where we are right now and to keep moving. That is to make space to reflect deeply on your journey and to build skills and experiences in your life to prepare you for what comes next. Time and again, this has worked for me, waiting out the fog and looking to detect the thing that comes next. I mean, my first big career reset was definitely the hardest. I moved from being a physiotherapist with a career and a degree and a permanent job with years of experience, and I knew it well, to take up a poorly part-time paid job as a church pastor. But it felt like the right thing to do. I saw a need, I felt a calling, and there was a bunch of people that I really cared about who couldn't find a pastor. And a decade later, I made another risky move, which was to jump into being a full-time productivity consultant at the end of a pandemic. I mean, it wasn't blind faith. I had paying clients and an award-winning book, but it still took a bit of courage because I wasn't sure if it was the right next step. And now, equally ridiculous, is to start a YouTube channel when I'm older than most YouTubers, and my core message is to make space by disconnecting and not spending so much time online. But the way forward, from my experience at least, is always to embrace change, to move forward and to learn along the way, even if things don't work out in the end. Because life is like a tapestry. You don't know the threads and where they're heading, but in the end, with a bit of trust and faith, things actually turn out and you learn along the way. You know, I'm confident after so many years that with every transition, something will turn out well, as long as I make space to think and reflect along the journey. And here's what I love about the journey. I mean, it makes no sense at the time, but in retrospect, it makes perfect sense. And the threads of life tend to lead you somewhere completely unexpected. I love that every random career reset in retrospect has prepared me for this moment. Because a physiotherapist knows how to listen to people and understand pain and then prescribe meaningful solutions. And a lack of space is painful in the digital age. As a pastor, I've walked with people through good and bad seasons, from birth to marriage to divorce to sickness to death. And I've learnt that some problems can't be solved, certainly not through technique and habit alone, that there is an inner life, a spiritual component that shapes how we interpret the world. And we need this to make space in a busy culture. And finally, as a productivity consultant working in global companies, I know the pressures that people face in the real world. I know that most of us are stretched and busy, running from meeting to meeting, with no margin in our life, with a desperate need to slow down and think and plan and breathe, and simply to make space for a better life. So this channel, I hope, will be a unique blend of all these random career choices, practical, research-based, spirituality-shaped habit formation to help you make space in the real world. But I couldn't see this at the time, and neither will you. It's hard to see what comes next when the future is so unknown, and yet it's still possible to navigate big career and life transitions in a way to set you up for the future. So, if you find yourself in the fog of life, stuck in a moment, and you don't know how to navigate your way through the next career reset that you're experiencing, well, let me give you 3 practical tips that have helped me. First one is turn up each day and give your best. Some jobs suck, or they change, or we change, and it's uncomfortable and boring and difficult to turn up each day. But don't fall asleep. Turn up. Give your best as you wait and make space for what comes next. You won't find a better future by checking out or spending hours scrolling TikTok and Instagram or binging on Netflix and just hoping for the future to change. That's not making space, that's kind of wasting space. Turn up, put your heart into what you do. Contribute selflessly to the people around you. Read and learn and gain something from the hard experiences of life. And build skills along the way, because you never quite know where those conversations or those acts of kindness or those relationships take you in the end. The second thing is to take the next step. You may not know where you're heading or even how to get there, but you can take the next step. Do something this week that will help you move towards a better future, build momentum for something new. Have a coffee with someone you know who's successful and ask them how they've navigated their career transitions. Brainstorm 10 potential jobs that you'd like to have and have a conversation with someone who's in one of those careers. Read a book to learn new skills. Take an online course. Start volunteering just to get out there and learn something new. Do hard things. Take on hard assignments at work that will stretch you. Take a risk. Go for a walk and think about where you want to head and the person you want to be. Whatever you do, if you feel stuck in a moment and you're in a career transition, take the next step, even if you don't know where that next step will take you. The next step will take you somewhere, especially when you're living life like a tapestry. Okay, my third and final suggestion is not to stress about the outcomes. Someone once asked me on a podcast when I was a guest, what would I say to my 20-year-old self? What advice would I give myself? And I didn't have much time to answer, so it was like a gut response. And I was surprised at what came out of my mouth. My answer was this: I would tell my 20-year-old self not to worry so much about the future, because everything would turn out fine. To trust that I make good decisions, and that even through disappointment and sadness and broken relationships and hurt, something good comes out of it, and I learn something. So enjoy the journey more and don't stress so much along the way. Easier said than done. But I think I would like to worry less about the future and trust a little bit more that there is a plan for where I'm heading. So, in all of this, make space. Make space to feel discomfort and uncomfortable in the fog of life during transitions and life resets. Make space to turn up and take the next step, even if you don't know where the path is leading. And most importantly, make space to trust that there's a plan, that life is like a tapestry. It'll unfold in its own way, and it'll be beautiful. That's the wonder of life. That's the mystery of this world. And part of the adventure. If you like this video, I would love you to subscribe to my channel to learn more about what it means to make space in the clutter of life, to live well in a world of busy. Please leave a comment. I'd love to hear about your experiences and your questions and your journey so it can guide what I speak about next. And if you find it hard to wait in the fog, well then I'd love you to watch my last video. We talk about the power of doing nothing to transform your life. So enjoy the wonders, beauties, confusion, and tapestry of life. And until next time, make space.